This lesson is on substitution. Now, some of these are more difficult than others when you're thinking generally substitution type problems, but some of them here, like what's in this lesson, aren't too bad. You just have to be real careful. Like if you're using your calculator, you have to be real careful that you're using the parentheses correctly with some of these. These particular problems aren't too bad if you mess up your parentheses a little bit. This one, you could end up with the wrong answer. So we'll talk about that. But let's just go ahead and start up here. If we are taking x equals 7, which they give us, and they tell us the only solution to this equation is x equals 7, and we're trying to find what k equals, you're going to take 7 and you're going to substitute it in where you see x's here. So instead of x minus 4, we're going to put 7 in the x spot. So this would be 7 minus 4. And then instead of x minus 10, we're putting the 7 in for the x, so 7 minus 10. And this is equal to k. Now your calculator will do order of operations, so if you type it exactly like this, it'll give you the correct answer. So we end up with 3 here, and this we would have negative 3, which gives us our k value, negative 9. Okay, over here you have to be careful because this time our x is a negative. So because our x is a negative, you need to make sure that you are using your parentheses correct, especially if there's an even exponent. Like a lot of times people will get those wrong. That's where this one, a lot of people would get that one wrong. So this one up here, we're plugging negative 2 in for x. So I have 6 instead of x cubed, negative 2 cubed, and then minus, and then we put x in the parentheses, negative 2, and then plus 16. I'm going to do this out by hand, then I'm going to show you how you can type it in your calculator. So negative 2 cubed is negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. So we get negative 8. So we got 6 times negative 8. Negative, subtracting the negative here turns into a plus 2, and then plus 16. So over here I've got 18. And here I've got negative 48. So negative 48 plus 18 will give me a negative 30. Now I'm going to grab my calculator. If you guys have a graphing calculator, grab it. And I'm just going to type in this very top line. Okay, I'm not going to try to do any of the math on my own. So if you're in that boat, that's 100% fine. We start with 6. Then you put a parenthesis where you're putting the x, and negative is down here. You don't want to use the minus. You're using a negative 2. And then it's cubed, so you can raise it up to the 3rd power. And it will end up doing all of this for you then. Then we're subtracting a parenthesis negative 2. And then don't forget to add that 16 on the back. It would be easy to forget. And we should get the exact same answer, negative 30 there. Okay, so this next one is very similar, and this uses the fraction thing that we learned in an earlier lesson. We're going to plug negative 4 in wherever we see an x. So I'm going to use the alpha y equals enter. Alpha y equals enter. If you go back to the fractions daily lesson, you'll see a lot of this fraction stuff if you're not sure how to do that. But it's alpha y equals, you hit enter, and it stacks it for us. And instead of x squared, we put parentheses squared. And in the parentheses, we're putting negative 4. You want to make sure you square outside of that parenthesis. So you can raise it up to the 2nd power, or you can just use this little squared button here. Either works. And then you got to make sure you arrow down and minus 1. So that's in the numerator, and then in the bottom we have x minus 1, so I put parentheses wherever I see an x, and I'm putting negative 4 in there, and then minus 1. And then it gives me an answer. Answer is negative 3 here, and I'll show you how to go about getting that by hand. So if we're doing x squared here, you have to remember that's negative 4 times negative 4, which would give me 16 minus 1 on top. And then on bottom, we're plugging in negative 4 minus 1, so negative 5. And then you can see in the numerator, I've got 15 divided by negative 5, so I get negative 3 for that answer.